Hello, welcome to Expo North and to our session this morning on new ways to reach independent retailers in the US, UK and Europe. I'm Joan Johnston. I'm the craft, fashion and textiles advisor for Expo North. So please excuse my voice this morning. I just got the lurgy and I'm hoping I'm not going to cough too much through this, but at least it's behind a screen, so you're all safe. So a little bit about Expo North just before we start. We offer year-round support for the creative sector in the Highlands and Islands and Moray region. And for anyone who hasn't been through our sector support programme, do take a look at that. There's more information on the website. It's free advice from a range of advisors that can help you with your business. I'm delighted today to have Richard Hayman from Faire, and Faire is one of a number of B2B marketplaces that have grown over the last number of years. Obviously, the retail landscape has changed dramatically with what's happened over the last 2 years particularly, but also with the evolution of digital communication as well. So I'm not going to say too much about what Faire do. I'll leave that to Richard. We will probably have a 20-minute session with Richard talking through how Faire work, and then we'll take questions and answers as well. My colleague Jessica Fox may well step in as well if I get caught up with some coughing. So anyway, without further ado, I'll hand over to Richard. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Joan. And yeah, great pleasure to be here this morning. Very much looking forward to, well, talking through Faire as a business, how we've evolved as a business and where we are now. And then we'll open it up to questions, as Joan said. And with that in mind, I'm just going to share my screen here and get the presentation up. Okay, quick question. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, all clear.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so just to start with, Faire as a company, we do sincerely believe that the future of retail is local. And what we're all about is helping local retailers discover new and exciting brands, hopefully like yours. Just to be clear, when we talk about retailers on Faire, these are single store independents, about 1 to 3 sites max. 95% physical, and some of them will be online, and some of them will have both a physical store and an online presence. But we would say that this space is really interesting because the independent retailer space hasn't necessarily had the tools to compete with large retail and large e-commerce players. And our whole mission is about supporting this independent space and the entrepreneurs of brands which they sell to. And as many of you know, the independent boutiques, they can be quite tricky to find, but when you aggregate them together, they make up a huge sales channel. They're bigger than Amazon and Walmart combined. And we're given the opportunity for brands to meet those retailers online in a really nice curated marketplace. And we'll talk a little bit about that for the experience of both the brand and the independent retailer. So practically, what does that look like? So we connect independent retailers with wholesale brands all across the world. We have now 400,000 retailers across North America, the UK and Europe. And as of last week, we actually launched into ANZ. And we have 60,000 brands across the platform. And these are across all categories, from food and drink to babies to jewelry to paper and novelty. We have broad category spectrums. And we're very lucky as a business, even though we launched, it feels like a lifetime ago, but in 2017, we were ranked the most innovative retail company by Fast Company, and number 8 on the Y Combinator top companies list, which looks at companies over 150 million in valuation. So we're very lucky in that respect, but we're still really early in phase 1 of our growth. And we've got some really interesting, cool features which we've got in the pipeline as we continue to learn more about our retailers and our brands as well. So practically, what does that look like? Well, from the retailer's perspective, they get a one-stop shop with data-driven recommendations. And what do I mean by that? They get a really nice curated marketplace to explore brands which they want to buy from 24/7. They get net 60 payment terms, so we underwrite the risk for the retailer. Getting access to credit is really, really hard for the retailer, and we provide that. They get free returns on first orders and free shipping as well. And from the brand's perspective, exposure to 400,000 independent retailers in North America, the UK, and Europe, and ANZ. They get free marketing and customer relationship tools all within the platform, and easy order and shipping management within the platform as well. And ultimately, it really falls down into two buckets as to why a brand would join Faire. The first one is about accelerating sales and potentially into new markets. And then the second part is streamlining the existing wholesale business. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how we allow a brand to do that, about saving time and saving money. And then when a brand joins Faire, so they get immediate exposure within the first weeks of joining, and typically a brand will actually get that first order within the first week. They average around 70 new accounts in their first year, and save time and money through being able to streamline the operations with retailer verification, the returns, the cancellations, and the defaults. And this is how it works practically. So firstly, we actually build the Faire page ourselves. And there's a couple of ways to do that. Either you submit your own product catalog and our design team will put that together. But I'm also very excited to say that as of last month, we've actually just launched a Shopify integration where you can go live within 10, 15 minutes. And all you would need to do is just sync all of your Shopify products to the Faire platform. And add in the wholesale prices. I want my wholesale prices to be 50% of the RRP prices, and then you can go live. So we try and take the hassle of building the Faire page by doing it all ourselves. And then you can also customize the page layout to make yourself more attractive to retailers. In terms of the payments and the logistics side, so there's no fee to list on Faire. There's no startup costs and there's no additional costs. There's no marketing costs or anything like that. We operate on a commission-based structure. So the first order coming through from the marketplace when a retailer is placing that first order is 25%, and that drops to 15% for the reorder. We talked about how we give the retailer 60 days to pay, but we pay you within 30 days after shipment, and we do a guaranteed payout on every order, plus covering the costs for the processing fees, return costs, and all the retailer verification costs as well. And we would say you really have ownership of the relationship. You can communicate with the retailer as well, get to accept or reject an order how you see fit. In terms of the marketplace, so you can tag yourselves for increased visibility to ensure you maximize your exposure to retailers on Faire. You get your first order within the first fortnight of being on Faire, and that communication with the retailer is really key. And we see that the best performing brands really utilize that well, and they'll put detailed product descriptions, they'll stay on top of their reviews, and they'll put really good images as well, because that all in turn makes yourself really attractive to retailers when they're searching for products. And there's also some really cool things you can do to streamline the operations. You can centralize all of your customer information through the platform. You can build out some really good dynamic email campaigns, which you can send to both your existing retailers and any retailers which you want to engage who may have lapsed in the past. And you can nudge retailers to reorder your line as well. So again, it's about having ownership of that relationship with the retailer. You can also measure success as well, what's working, what's not, and view your ratings and reviews and see what your customers are saying, because clearly the better reviews, the more attractive you are to the retailer. We're going to talk about Faire Direct, which is what is Faire Direct? So Faire Direct is essentially a program which we've created, which allows you to extend Faire's benefits to your own existing independent wholesale base, commission free. So we talked about 25%, 15% for orders coming through on the marketplace. You can actually extend those net 60 payment terms to your own retailers, and it will be 0% commission. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can send that link through to your retailers. We have a widget which you can put on the website, or you could put that link all across social media, because it's a really nice way to engage your existing customers. And generally speaking, the best performing brands on Faire really utilize that well. Yes, they'll extend the net 60 payment terms to their existing retailers and retailers which they want to engage with. But we're also offering a promotion as well. And that promotion until the end of June is £300 credit for any new retailer which you bring to Faire. So it's quite a good way to incentivize any leads which you know of to buy your product through Faire. And I actually saw at a trade show a couple of months ago, one of our brands had printed out on their t-shirts, come to us for £300 credit. They used that on the t-shirt, but they'd also printed that out on all flyers as well. And they were taking literally hundreds of orders throughout the day because every retailer wanted the £300 credit. So I just thought it was a really innovative way of working. You can also streamline all of your orders through the Faire platform as well, through the marketplace and through those existing customers which you want to work with. The other reason why it's a good thing to extend those terms to your existing independent retailer base is because we look for patterns in terms of the wholesale behavior to put you in front of the right type of retailer. And clearly knowing your existing retailer relationship helps us to get to those patterns a lot quicker, which will then in turn help us drive more sales through the actual marketplace. Another question which comes up is, well, amongst all those 60,000 brands, am I going to get lost? Well, we work very, very hard to put you in front of the right type of retailer. And one of the ways we know how to put you in front of the right type of retailer is because when the retailer joins Faire, they have to fill in a really extensive onboarding survey, which will be down to what products I want to buy, what brand values resonate with me, whether it be organic or women owned, what countries you want to buy from. So they get a really nice curated experience. And we also provide Faire brand recommendations based on this survey as well. And we also do surveys throughout the year, so we continually learn about the retailer, the buying patterns which they have. So I know we've just gone through the presentation now in terms of the operation, but I think really the best way to create some engagement is questions. So I'd love to take any questions, and I'm sure there's lots of sort of detail behind in the back end which you may want to know of. So yeah, happy to answer any questions.
So if you want to put some questions into the Q&A, we can ask Richard from there. I'm actually going to kick off with a couple of questions just while people are doing that. So Richard, how does the shipping work? Because obviously that's a key issue for a lot of people who are shipping maybe to the States. Can you just talk us through that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a brand's point of view, brand doesn't pay for shipping costs. There's two ways. We have our own couriers, so you can ship with Faire. We use UPS in the UK. You just need to arrange a time with that courier to pick up the product, and we'll ship it out for you. Or you could carry on shipping how you normally ship, and you enter your shipping costs through the platform, and then we'll reimburse you. And then on the retailer side, certainly in the UK, the retailer will pay a fixed amount every month, and we include free shipping and also free duties within that program as well. And for the first 3 months, it's free anyway. So it's kind of like an Amazon Prime subscription, and they get some benefits on top of that. So
do you see that being free long term? Because that's a big part, certainly for any of the bigger items at the minute, excuse me, is the shipping costs have been getting more expensive. So it's free for a certain length of time, or is it, do you see that sort of longer term?
Yeah, so for the brand, it will be indefinitely. And then from the retailer's point of view, The program is called the Insiders Program. So they will pay $13.99 a month. It's free for the first 3 months. And within that, we cover the cost of the duties and the shipping as well.
Okay, great. And it certainly sounds like that's one of the biggest challenges for smaller makers. It can be the shipping. So, and as well as that, our producers make a range of different products. Is there any size limitation, or in terms of the numbers of products ordered? Should there be minimum orders?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of things on that, and the best performing brands will upload their entire catalog to maximize their exposure to retailers through the platform. In terms of the actual quantities, we have a minimum order value, which is £100. And generally speaking, the average order placed through Faire is around £180 to £200, because as many of your makers will know, these are independent retailers. They won't be spending massive amounts at a time. So it's around £180 to £200, but you can edit that through the platform. I've seen average orders of kind of £800 to £1,000, depending on the type of retailer. But yeah, £180 to £200 is the average order.
Okay, that's good. And then another one really is, a lot of our makers obviously are based here in the Highlands and Islands of Scotland.
Yeah.
Provenance is a big part of the story of what they're making, where their inspiration. So is there space to articulate that as well about the product? What makes one particular candle maker, for example, different from another?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways. There's the detailed product description, and putting more detail is again going to make the brand more attractive to the retailer, because they will doing the keyword search, and some of those values will really resonate. And then the second part to that is we will suggest makers to retailers based on that onboarding survey which the retailer has to complete. And one of the questions will be around what brand values resonate, and that could be anything from not on Amazon to organic or women owned. And on the back of that, we will then surface suggestions to the retailers. So it's critical, actually.
And in terms of products, are there particular products that are more popular? Are you, obviously you've got quite a broad range on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So home decor is our most popular product. We do very well for food and drink. Kids and baby is another big category for us. But we're building out the categories all the time, and we have a pretty good retailer split in the UK and North America across all those categories as well.
Joan, I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. You mentioned you'd opened up Australia and New Zealand. What other countries are you in, I guess?
Yeah, so we are in North America, UK, obviously 16 countries in Europe, Australia and New Zealand. And then we are looking at other countries as well. And I guess the overall vision really is to create a global operating system of both brands and independent retailers. So what does that look like? From the retailer, they would be able to manage all of their relationships with brands through the Faire platform and get financing to fund their inventory. And on the brand's perspective, they would get exposure to hundreds of thousands of retailers 24/7, because sometimes a retailer doesn't necessarily want to order through a large wholesaler. They want to do it after at their own pace, potentially on Sunday as well. And these brands are always on, and they can purchase at any time. And then the second part to that is the technology element. We are admitted a technology company, and because we've got so much data going through the platform, we want to get to a position where we could give a brand insight on the types of stock they should be holding, or what products they should be making based on what products are doing well, and how much they should be charging for their products. So that it's always been historically quite risky for a technology company to focus on the independent space. Tech companies have focused on direct to consumer, but we're a really well funded business, and we can do everything at scale now, which is why we can offer things like net 60 payment terms to the retailers, and free shipping and free duties, backed with a mission of helping independent retailers and entrepreneurs as well.
Excellent. And what the other question that somebody had asked that couldn't make it was about returns. How do returns work?
Yeah, so first thing I should say, we do a guaranteed payout on every order. We don't have a warehouse in the UK. We do in the US, but in the UK, we will just pass it on to one of our charity partners.
So if somebody returns something, say it was in the UK, it's going to stay in the UK, but not be returned to the maker?
Yeah. Okay. They can obviously take it back if they want, but we'll by and large just pass it on to our charity partner.
That certainly seems very generous.
And we do it. We do the payout on every order as well.
Yeah, and then in terms of exporting to, say, within the States, sometimes there can be different guidelines for different products. Obviously, you've got different duties and different possibly restrictions. So I'm just thinking food and drink. How do you manage that if somebody's new to this?
So yeah, as you said, so obviously the retailer is ultimately responsible for any duties or taxes owned. The majority of orders won't really incur any cost to the retailer. They have a threshold in the US of $800. So just keep that in mind. But in terms of actually kind of labeling, we always just say consult customs broker or legal counsel about the readiness of the product to ship to North America, because ultimately Faire is just the conduit between the brand and the independent retailer.
So the onus is really on the maker to ensure that all the legalities of the product are covered,
complying with the laws, the rules, the regulations, the testing, the labeling, kind of goes on.
Yes, of course. Okay, that's good. We've just had one comment, curious about quality control, especially with such impressive expansion. I guess that relates to
retailers, vetting retailers.
Jessica, was that one of the questions you were asking? I wondered if you want to jump in on that.
Yeah, I was just curious. You have so many amazing ways of searching for items. I love it. Like, Not on Amazon's really fun. It's serious, but also playful. And clearly, you know your markets and who's going to be looking through the website and how people are going to be searching for things. And you talked about being in phase 1 of growth. So I was just curious, it blows my mind, like, how do you keep that sense of bespoke relationship with all these makers and companies as things grow? Like, how do you make sure that the quality and the narrative is still?
Okay, so on the retailer side, we vet the retailers, and that could be anything from credit checks to store location to social media photos, length of time they've been active, because we want the best experience for the brand and the retailer. Our guiding principles that we want a fair marketplace for everyone, but we still want our brands to succeed, clearly. So this is why we give the brand the tools to compete, and some of those tools are being able to extend the terms to their own existing retailers as well. So it's twofold. We are continually vetting the retailers, and we always do so because we want a quality marketplace. But in terms of the actual success of the brands, our principles is that we want a fair marketplace where brands can compete on the platform, but we will do everything which we can to put the right brands in front of the right retailers. And if you remember from my presentation, the way we are doing that is the first part is looking at the actual Faire shop, quality of images, the product descriptions, the reviews, etc. The second part is learning about the retailer and what they want to buy and putting custom suggestions in front of them. And then the third part is the way the algorithm works is the more you sell on Faire, the higher up the product ranking you go. And one of the ways to increase that conversion is by adopting the tools. So putting the widget on the website and sending the link out to your existing retailers, because that really will influence conversion.
That's nice.
And why that is also a good thing is to put you in front of the right type of retailers. What we also do is look for a brand's existing wholesale relationships and their buying behavior, and clearly knowing that existing behavior just allows us to get through to the patterns quickly to put you in front of the right retailers on the marketplace side. There was a lot of detail there, and said happy to kind of follow up. But
that's cool. Thank you. That was good.
Has anybody got any other questions they want to pop in the chat box? And then we can ask Richard. I guess the only thing we spoke about a little earlier, Rich, was obviously there are a number of B2B marketplaces evolving now, and I just wondered what your view is on that, in terms of the competition that's out there, and what makes Faire different from the others.
Yeah, so at Faire, we'd probably tackle that a bit differently. So we would actually say really incumbent for the maker to be on as many marketplaces they can, because ultimately why does a brand join a marketplace? It's either to accelerate their sales or being able to streamline their operations, and marketplaces do help that, and ultimately the proof will be in the pudding in terms of kind of generating sales. What's different from other marketplaces? So just by the sheer number of retailers which we have on our platform, we're about 4 times the size of other marketplace platforms. A core of that is in North America, and then as we expand into Europe and Australia and New Zealand, we also offer a Shopify integration as well. We offer free returns as well, which none of the marketplaces do. And we invest a lot in our data and analytics to ensure that the right brand is going to the right retailer. And just anecdotally, the brand will get their first order within the first 2 weeks, which is generally speaking a lot quicker than any of the marketplaces. And we're the first company to do this, so I'd like to think we're kind of innovating the category.
Excellent, really good. Well, I think I've covered the questions that I had. Just one's popped up there. Would there be any issue challenges if we sold different kinds of products, clothing, food and drink, for example, through one maker?
So generally speaking, if it falls under one brand, we would create one Faire page with various products, because we'll still do targeted emails to retailers based in your category for the first 2 weeks. But if it falls under a different maker's, the 2 names, then we just create another Faire shop, another Faire page.
So I guess because the retailers would be searching under product areas in most cases, because that's what they're searching for. So it would be separated out.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously some brands will have warehouses in North America and Europe. And if that is the case, then we create different Faire pages for UK, Europe, North America, wherever the warehouse is.
Okay, so the brand itself doesn't have, you mentioned warehouse, they don't have to have a warehouse there in the country they're exporting to?
Correct, yeah. So they can manage all of their operation in the one Faire shop, the one Faire page.
And it can go directly from here to the retailer without having to be, well, I guess it's stored within Faire's warehouse. Is that it lands there and then it's distributed from there?
Yeah, we'll ship it. So the shipping will come in two ways. We'll either ship with Faire, where just arrange a time with our courier and we'll ship it out for you, or you can carry on how you're normally shipping.
Okay, and then that's charged back and you get the
Correct.
what's refunded. Okay, that's great.
Correct.
So the idea is to try and put as many retailers through the Faire platform that you may, if you're already working with a retailer, say in New York, for example, you want to try, and that's what the encouragement was, to try and streamline them through Faire.
Yeah, it's, I mean, generally speaking, a retailer quite likes buying through Faire because, number one, they get the 60 days to pay, but it's just easy for them to manage their relationships through the one platform. And I would also say, just to reinforce, it's a really good way to use the link to send out to any customers which a maker has historically worked with and wants to re-engage by saying, oh, look, I've just joined Faire, here's 60 days to pay. And if you're new to Faire, there's £300 credits as well. Yes,
because often when you're starting a new relationship with a new retailer, the maker wants pro forma payments, so therefore not necessarily all retailers want to work that way, whereas what you're offering is the 60-day terms, which gives the retailer peace of mind and a delayed payment than you would be doing if you're doing it directly.
Correct, yeah. And try and take the hassle from chasing payments as well. So we do all of that. Okay, excellent. I would also say I'm very, very happy to share my email address after the call. And if any maker wants a kind of one-on-one consultation, happy to offer that service as well. Great, yes, I put that up on the chat. So it's richard.hayman@faire.com, but it's in the chat. Brilliant. Excuse me. Great. I think that is all. Does anybody else want to ask anything? So I'd just like to thank Richard for your time today. That was really informative and great to see the potential that is there to reach other countries effectively from your studio without having to go on a plane, which is, massive leap from where we've been from doing traditional shows. And I'm sure at some point shows are still relevant, but actually to be able to reach the smaller independent stores who are probably seeking out more authentic products as well. It certainly seemed like a great way to do it. Just before we finish, I'd also like to just remind the audience we have the Expo North conference on the 15th and 16th of June with lots of really great content and various speakers and information centres. So do sign up to the newsletter or to the conference to find out more with what's happening on Expo North. So I'd just like to say thank you, Richard. Thanks very much for your time today. That's been really useful. We'll obviously pass on your details if anyone comes through Expo North as well to speak to you directly. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye. Thanks. Bye.